الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. We still in Kitab al-Salah, and today بإذن الله وحوله وقوته we will talk about Sutratul Musalli, or how we make that sutra. Plus we have something to talk about among ourselves, so maybe it will be an addition matter. But as usual, we go for our reading, then after that, if there is anything, we add it to that reading. Yalla ya Abdul Rahman. Bab Sutratul Musalli.
Eighty-three.
Page 83 on my book. Different editions, they have different pages. But you go to the chapter 4, Sutratul Salat.
حديث 70 بعد 100. عن أبي جهيم بن حارث رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: لو يعلم المار بين يدي المصلي ماذا عليه من الإثم لكان أن يقف 40 خيرا له من أن يمر بين يديه. متفق عليه واللفظ للبخاري. ووقع في البراز من وجه آخر 40 خريفا.
Narrated Abu Juhaym bin al-Harith, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if the person who passes in front of another person in prayer knew the magnitude of his sin, it would have been better for him to wait for 40 than pass in front of him. Agreed upon. This wording is from Al-Bukhari. It is mentioned in Al-Bazar through another chain with the addition 40 years.
وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت: سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في غزوة تبوك عن سترة المصلي فقال: مثل مؤخرة الرحال. أخرجه مسلم.
الرحل
مثل مؤخرة الرحل.
Narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam was asked in the expedition of Tabuk about the sutra of the person who is offering the prayer. He said, it is something like the back of a saddle, reported by Muslim.
وعن سبرة بن معبد الجهني رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: ليستتر أحدكم في الصلاة ولو بسهم. أخرجه الحاكم.
Narrated Sabra bin Ma'bad al-Juhayni radiallahu anh, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, let one of you who is in Salat put a sutra in front of him, even if it is an arrow, reported by Al-Hakim.
وعن أبي ذر الغفاري رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: يقطع صلاة المرء المسلم إذا لم يكن بين يديه مثل مؤخرة الرحل المرأة والحمار والكلب الأسود. الحديث. وفيه: الكلب الأسود شيطان. أخرجه مسلم. وله عن أبي هريرة نحوه دون الكلب. ولأبي داود والنسائي عن ابن عباس نحوه دون آخره. وقيد المرأة بالحائض.
Narrated Abu Dharr al-Ghafari radiyallahu an. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, in case there is not before him an object like the back of a saddle, a Muslim's salat would be cut off by the passing of a woman, a donkey, and a black dog. And it concludes, the black dog is a devil, reported by Muslim. Muslim also reported through Abu Hurairah radiyallahu an a similar hadith without the mention of a dog. In another narration, Abu Dawood and Nasa'i reported through Ibn Abbas a similar report without its end and connected the prohibition of a woman passing in front of a praying person to the state of being in her menstruation period.
وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا صلى أحدكم إلى شيء يستره من الناس فأراد أحد أن يجتاز بين يديه فليدفعه فإن أبى فليقاتله فإنما هو شيطان متفق عليه وفي رواية فإن معه القرين.
Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu an, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if one of you prays towards an object separating him from the people, and someone tries to pass between him and the object in front of him, let him turn him away, but if he refuses, he should fight him, for he is a devil, agreed upon. In another narration, for there is a Satan with him.
وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا صلى أحدكم فليجعل تلقاء وجهه شيئا فإن لم يجد فلينصب عصا فإن لم يكن فليخط خطا ثم لا يضره من مر بين يديه. أخرجه أحمد وابن ماجه وصححه ابن حبان ولم يصب من زعم أنه مضطرب بل هو حسن.
Narrated Abu Hurairah radiyallahu an, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when one of you prays, he should put something in front of him, and if he cannot find something, he should set up a stick. But if he has no stick with him, he should draw a line. Then what passes in front of him will not harm him, reported by Ahmad and Ibn Majah and Ibn Hibban, graded as Sahih.
وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يقطع الصلاة شيء وادرأوا ما استطعتم. أخرجه أبو داود وفي سنده ضعف.
Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu an, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, nothing interrupts salat, but avert as much as you can things that cut off prayer. Reported by Abu Dawood, and there is weakness in this chain.
جزاكم الله خيرا. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق أجمعين محمد وآله وصحبه ومن سار على نهجه واقتفى أثره إلى يوم الدين. We come now to the next part of as-salah, and again that part of the condition of as-salah. If you remember, we explained what the meaning of conditions or shurut as-salah. That means things you do before takbirat al-ihram, before you say Allahu Akbar. One of them is as-sutra. What is as-sutra? Hamza? Huh? Speak up so everyone hears you. So when you want to pray, you put something just little bit further than your sujood. So you know where you're going to make your sujood? Just little bit further than that. You understand that? Practically, come ya Abdul Qadir, try to pray and practice that sutra for us. Yeah, that's a good example. So before you pray, you put that. So if your sujood in this point, make it little bit as much as that of your sujood. Jazakallah khair. And that a good example. I loved his example because I want to see what you can put. So anything can easily figure out and seen. Don't put that. No one will notice it or see it. You see? Put something like that bottle of water, that disc in front of you. If you have a big bag, like Abu Naeem bag, anything easily figured can be seen by the people and know this is, you put it as your protected area. You're not allowed to pass through it. You can pass behind me or in front of that object. You understand that? As simple as that. What is the ruling of a sutra? It is wajib, mustahab, haram, makruh, halal. What is it? Put your hand so I see what you're saying. Who said sunnah? You said sunnah. What it means? It is sunnah, of course. But what it means? Wajib, mandub. Abdul Rahman said wajib. Who agrees with Abdul Rahman? You don't agree with Abdul Rahman? Okay, you don't know. Actually, I agree with Abdul Rahman. And the hadith here saying you have to. So what the hadith say? If you want to pray, put something in front of you. And when the Prophet ﷺ said that, it means it is a command in a formative form. So he tells you, but it means he is commanding you to do that. Why? Because it is a protection for your salah. So you have to protect your salah. It is wajib for you to protect your salah. It is. It is. So that part of that wajib. For two things. First, to make it easy for the people to go around. Because you see the first hadith, what the first hadith saying? If you stay 40, you shouldn't cross the people praying. 40. And the Sahabi say, I don't know what the Prophet meant by 40. 40 hours, 40 days, 40 weeks, 40 months, 40 years, I don't know. The other hadith come and explain 40 years. And if it takes you 40 years not to break someone's salah, is better for you. And that very exaggerated term. And that it is very big haram. Exaggerated term come to explain it is a major issue. It's not as simple as you pass in front of anyone praying. The other issue come, that is part of the honoring of the salah. If you don't honor your salah, and how you don't honor your salah? You don't protect it. The people doesn't have to honor you. They can pass. If you go, as some people, they come and pray in the middle of the mosque. We stop the people moving? No. We say, this man, his salah is not important for him. He doesn't value his salah. And as long as he doesn't value his salah, we don't value it too. We go. But for the sake of Allah, what we do? We pass after his sujood area. So we give him a length of a meter and a half, depends his tall. Then we pass. Why? because he didn't honor himself, his salah. So Al-Islam give us the right, even though he didn't honor his salah, we don't come and cross in front of him directly. No, we go a little bit far from him and we pass. You understand that? This is very important. So please, now you learn the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a sutra, so don't go over it. Don't break it. Practice it. Do the sutra and put it in front of you. Wherever you pray, it's a freedom. Choose with the era you pray, but you cannot pray without the sutra. You understand that? The other hadith come to tell us that what can break your salah. You see, the Prophet ﷺ, from his practice, a goat come and try to pass by his sutra. What he did, he kept moving closer to the wall until the goat passed by him, behind him. So even the goat, he didn't let it go between him and the sutra. This is how much he honored his salah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So you do the same. You do the same. I know a lot of people today are very, very ignorant. So we can't go and practice some of the sunnah with them. And what sunnah we are talking about now? The sunnah of pushing him away. Because this is your right. If you have the sutra and someone ignore the sutra and he wants to pass, he's in a hurry. As some people of you here, as soon as the Imam said Assalamu alaikum, they stand up. You don't know why, but they want to go out. So there's people come late, they miss the salah, miss rak'ah, miss two. So they are praying, but he doesn't care, he wants to get out. So the sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ give you the right, if someone like that come, to put your hand in front of him like that. So say to him, you cannot pass. If you ignore that, you push him aside. But sometimes he is much stronger than you. It happened to one of our brothers, and that in Mecca, he put his hand for a big guy, a giant man. He carried him with his sutra and he moved. Then he put him back. True. And this is a real story, happened with one of our Kuwaiti brother. I still remember the story. So he put his hand here, he came and carried him and went, then he put him back. If there is an education between the Muslims, he learned about his Muslim brother right, he could kill himself for what he did. This is a big thing. It's not the matter you are stronger than me or weaker than me. It is the matter of my right or not my right. Your right or not your right. So I am praying, you should stop. And from the teaching of the Sunnah, you see how the Prophet ﷺ dealt with the matter. The goat is ignorant, doesn't know. They want to pass by. They don't care, sutra, no sutra. So you behave in the right way. So what the Prophet ﷺ did, he moved quickly to block the goat of coming in front of him. It goes behind him. So he was here, and the goat coming from here, So he moved until the goat come passing by him from the back. So you do with some people, you have to deal with them in the same way the Prophet ﷺ dealt with that goat. Because they are goats or buffalo or bulls, they keep going, they don't stop. So what you do, you protect your salah by moving to block them from doing that. So you give them the way, in the same time you honor your salah. You understand that? You understand it? And please don't use your hand, because the people today don't understand that. He might hit you back while you are praying, and it will be a disastrous matter. The last hadith, which come to say, nothing can affect the salah. Even that hadith is very weak, but the majority of the scholars went with it, that it is haram, but it doesn't break your salah. You understand, break your salah? That means your salah is finished. So the majority of the scholars say, the Prophet ﷺ saying here, it doesn't break your salah, even though it affects your salah. And they went with what we call it istidrakat, Aisha ala sahaba. When Aisha heard the hadith of al-mar'ah, the woman and the donkey and the black dog, and she said, what worse than that you putting us with? You putting us with the donkey and the dogs? The Prophet ﷺ will never say that. I used to sleep and the Prophet ﷺ pray in front of me. And when he wants to make sujood, there is no space. The house of the Prophet ﷺ, it's too small. When he wants to make sujood, I have to move my body. She squeezes herself, so the legs come to her tummy to make a place for the Prophet ﷺ to make sujood. And she said, if that break the salah, the Prophet ﷺ will not allow that. And this is why the scholars take from that strong hadith and that weak hadith, they put them together to make that understanding, that it affects the salah, it takes some of the reward of the salah, but it doesn't break the salah at all. And that part of our understanding to the fiqh of this hadith. So the hadith, it could say it cut the salah. But what it means, cut the salah? It means it takes some of the reward of a salah. It doesn't make the salah perfect. That if it was perfect in the first place, yani if you have all the ingredients to make it perfect, minus that, it become minus that. But if you have other minuses, then you have a problem with your salah in a big way. May Allah protect us and protect our salah and make us from the people who understands, obey and practice what they understand. Hamza was putting his finger all the dars, and now Hamza, tfaddal. Ask.
When you say wajib, do you mean like wajib upon the salat?
افتح الجنينة ما شاء الله بدها عضلات هاي.
Like if you don't have the sutra, is your salat invalid?
كل هالدراسة اللي درستها في الأزهر طلعتك بهذه المعلومة؟ الله المستعان. No, not every wajib validate your salah, invalidate your salah. Some they do and some they don't. And that out of a salah anyhow, in the first place. It is part of the conditions, not part of the rules of the salah or pillars of a salah. The pillars of a salah, yes, it invalidates your salah and you have to repeat the salah. The conditions, some of them invalidate the salah, some of them not. But we are asking, what is the ruling of putting the sutra? It is sunnah, so you put it or you don't put it, it's equal. But if you put it, you have a reward, and you don't put it, you don't have the reward. We say no, as that brother said. No, it's not sunnah, it is wajib. So you must put the sunnah, something in front of you. Because the Prophet ﷺ never ever pray inside or outside without taking sutra. If the Prophet ﷺ practiced something for all of his life without breaking that practice, then we know this practice is must. We know this practice is must. Even when he was traveling, he used to put his spear in the sand in front of him. If he doesn't have a spear, he put his camel settle. This is why they asked him in Tabuk. In Tabuk, it was a trip to Tabuk. Yani he was in an exhibition and they going for a war, and they asked him, what will you put in front of? Not everyone has luggage or has stones in front of him. What will you put? He said, at the least you put is your camel altogether, or the settle of the camel, or the horse. Usually, when we talk about settles, usually we talk about camels. We don't talk about horses. The majority of them, they don't have settles for the horses. The Arabs used to ride the horses without settles. But the camel is very difficult to, especially in the war, to ride it without a settle. So the camel is like that. So when you want to sit, unless you sit in the neck, which is not the place to sit. So they have to put, and they always using that settle. So it was a common thing, and they use it all the time. But the horse, as Umar say, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, you have to teach your kids how to jump on the horses and ride it without settles. So he used to command the young Sahaba, or the young generation of the Muslims, to jump on the horses, not take it with something. No, you have to jump on it while you let it walk, then you go over it and without a settle. Why? That make your legs very strong, because you have to hold yourself with your legs, and make a very strong companionship with the horse too. The horse start to know your smell. Maybe something you don't know about it is, but you should know, isn't it, young boys? You want to ride a horse? You have so many horses in your area. Yes. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. You are the Imam? No, you are not his sutra 5 meters. We said a sutra just little bit, as much as that of where you put your head in the sujood. And the Prophet ﷺ measured it in many ahadith. One of the ahadith, he said 3 lengths of your hand. 3 lengths of your hand. This is the length of the hand. Not that, that is an arm. The length of the hand is here. So 3, then you put the sutra. Because the man in usual size, 3 is more than enough. And the Prophet ﷺ himself, he said 3 hand span. only when you are with the Imam. This is a good question from Nasser. When you are with the Imam, you don't need a sutra because you have an Imam. So even the people allowed to pass through you. You don't stop anyone. So if someone somehow find a space here and you are, some people started the line there, he can come and cross them and come from here. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, one of his young practice, he used not even to walk, he used to come with his donkey and pass the lines, and the Prophet lines, it's tens of lines. He passed the lines because the mosque is open. The doors of the mosque, there's no doors actually, the mosque is open. The walls from both ways is opened. So he used to pass from one line to another line to another line to another line until he find his space. Then he jump off the donkey and stand in the salah, let the donkey go. Of course, if any of you practice it today, they call him, I'm sure, kafir or something unbelievable. But the Sahaba never say anything to him or disappoint with him or get angry on him. No, it's normal. It's a cheeky action, but this is what the children do. But that cheeky action taught us a great thing, that this doesn't affect the salah. Even remember, the donkey is a big thing in crossing the sutra, huh? But because it is not their sutra, they don't worry about their sutra because there is no sutra for them. The sutra is for their imam. When we worry about the donkey, if he come in the front line to come and pass the imam, if he is the Prophet himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or Abu Bakr or Umar or Uthman or Ali, or that's what we worry. But if the imam is already protected, then we don't worry about it. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think one of the reasons the people make the hole in the wall for the imam, you know, they call it mihrab, but it's not mihrab. That hole in the wall, that mainly to protect the imam from anyone can intrusion and passing the imam, because the imam has his own wall. There's nothing can go through it. So I think they did that for that reason. But other issues with you, as long as you are with the jama'ah, of course, as soon as the imam says Assalamu alaikum and you want to complete your salah, you are on your own. So if the line behind you, in front of you, completed their salah and they want to burst and go, you have to find your sutra. Either by moving towards the front, or some of the clever people around you bring something and put it in front of you, then he pass by, which is the best to do. But not always that happen. So if the people lift you without any sutra, then move towards the closest sutra. And if you want to make sadaqah yourself on your brother, you stay where you are, and that is a sadaqah from you on him to protect his salah and honor his salah. I explained that. I said nowadays we are with the complete ignorance of the ruling of the salah, of everything anyhow. In our life, most of the Muslim doesn't know anything about anything. So you don't fight him. You just move yourself towards the sutra by saying to him, go from my back. If you don't understand the ruling of the sutra, I let you go, but I move forward and you move from my backwards. So go from the backside. No, let me honor Mr. I always forget, the sisters always say to me, repeat the question because we don't hear the question. But please forgive me, I forgot. Again, please, what's your name? Babu, okay ya Babu, yalla ya Baba. What he trying to say? What he trying to say? Look at the camera.
When you're in an airplane and when you're going to Malaysia or somewhere and you want to like pray and you said that you need a
Sutra.
yeah, and how do we do it?
You already have a sutra in front of you. Don't you have a seat in front of you?
Oh yeah.
That's it. So if you are in the aeroplane, as he asked, if I am in the aeroplane, how I take the sutra? If you move from your seat to pray behind, depends on the aeroplane, how spacious it is. Then you go and anyhow, wherever you pray, you're going to have a sutra because the places are very limited. The places are very limited. There is either seat in front of you or there is something in front of you. So the aeroplane is not an open space where you need a sutra like the mosque. So the sutra is already there. You will be very fortunate to have a space where you can stand and make sujood and ruku'. Usually, all the aeroplanes, we couldn't do that. We used to pray on the seat because there's no place. Except if you are in the exit area, you might make sujood and ruku', but you can't stand. But either way, you have the sutra already there.
We not allowed to lift the children. Like my daughter, my young daughter, sometimes comes in the front while I'm praying. You said you're not allowed to lift during sujood or?
Ruku' and sujood. So if you are praying with the kids, some of the kids love to be hanged on their parents, especially their father in the Salat time. So if you put her or him on your shoulder while you are reading, or you hold it in your chest while you are reading, but when you make ruku' and sujood, you have to put them on the ground. So make the ruku' or sujood without them because you cannot carry them. Unless you have 3-4 hands, different story. But if you have only 2 hands, the 2 hands has to be on your knees, straightening your back. So you can't carry the children any other way. If they jump in your back, this is a different story. They usually jump in the back when you are in sujood. And they did that to the Prophet ﷺ. Al-Hasan or Al-Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma did that. They jump on his back and he led them until they finish and satisfied from that riding. Even the Sahaba were worried that the Prophet ﷺ, something happened to him in Salat. So they raise their head and they find, they want to check what happened to the Prophet ﷺ. They raise their head and they see that one of these two sitting on his back. And after the Salah finished, they say, "Oh Prophet of Allah, we got worried about you. And this is why we raised our head to see what's happening. And we saw Al-Hasan He said, he rided me and the best ride I am and the best rider he is." Anything else? That is haram. to put your shoes in front of you, that is haram. And disrespect for you too. And you put your head where your shoes is. That is, first, Islamically, the Prophet ﷺ said that is not allowed. So when they asked the Prophet ﷺ, he said, put it between your legs. Either, if you are praying alone and nobody beside you, put it in your left. But if you are praying with the jama'ah, like when we go to Hajj, for example, or we have a big mosque somewhere, and we can't leave the shoes because we don't know where we left it after that. You bring your shoes with you, put it between your legs. So neither dishonoring your brother, because your left is the right of your brother. So you can't put it there. You put it in your back. Your back is the front of other brother. Put it between your legs. As this is where they are. They are the wear of your legs. So put it in, near your feet and keep it there. If you can wear it and pray with it, and that's a better sunnah. But I say if you can't, like nowadays, unfortunately, our mosques full of carpet and this and that, and some of them think this is a holy carpet. It's not a holy carpet, but your shoes is very dirty, otherwise I let you pray here with your shoes. And this is the sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ said, do the opposite of the Jews and the Christians. They used to pray without shoes, and we should pray with our shoes. So the Prophet ﷺ used to pray in his mosque with his shoes. And the Sahaba used to do that, because his mosque was from dust and dirt. So it doesn't get affected at all. The dust and dirt itself is a cleaning material. Even if you bring a dirt, it will clean it. But carpet is not a cleaning material. It is dirty by itself. Yani without anything, it have a dust mites, it have this, it has that. So already when you make sujood in it, you get affected by it. But if we leave it without carpet, you complain so much. What's wrong with these people? They want us to go back to the camel time, which is the best time, but unfortunately. Any other thing? Abu Ahmed. علي صوتك حتى أسمعك. Sutra, if we pray Jama'ah, the sutra only for the Imam. Anyone else doesn't have a sutra and doesn't need a sutra, because we are one Jama'ah here. إنما جعل الإمام ليؤتم به. الإمام, the purpose of putting an Imam is to be followed. So he is the Imam, he is the leader, he is the commander in your salah. جزاكم الله خيرا. A lot of brothers. Any questions left? So we talk about other issue. 15 minutes, maybe, or 10 minutes on issues which affect the Ummah in general and affect us as a community here too. My main concern is you. Bismillah. What's happening here? So my main concern is you, and this is why my duties and your rights on me and my duties on you to explain these matters as best as I can. Extremism in Islam is something Islam always fight and doesn't allow and doesn't like in the opposite. He hated the most. Doesn't matter how you see the extremism. Sometimes, even you don't see it at all, it is extremism, but it is. And one little extreme lead to another little extreme until it becomes something very bad and taking you out of Islam. I start with the story happened with Ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, Aba Abdul Rahman, and Aba Musa al-Ash'ari. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari used to wait for the door of Ibn Mas'ud to come out from the high respect. Even both of them are companions, but Ibn Mas'ud from the senior companions of the Prophet ﷺ. And he is one of the top scholars of the Ummah. So Abu Musa al-Ash'ari used to know that of him and give him that great respect for that, which unfortunately most of you doesn't know that. And he doesn't know how to pay respect for your elders and your seniors or your sheikhs and things like that. And this is part of the extremism we are in today. And he said to him, he didn't wait. This time he didn't wait for Ibn Mas'ud. He knocked his door and asked him to enter, and he said, let him in. What's the story? He said, I saw something and I was so worried about. Even it's not a bad thing. How it is not a bad thing and make you worried about. Because from the look, a quick look, it's not a bad thing. But if you think deeply about it, you see the worst of the worst in it. So Ibn Mas'ud said, he said to him, let's go and see. I don't want to explain to you. You see it yourself, then you judge it because you know better than me and you have much greater knowledge than me. Maybe I'm wrong. So he went with him to the mosque. What he saw in the mosque? People sitting in circles and one leading them by saying, say Subhanallah 100 times, say Alhamdulillah 100 times, say Allahu Akbar. And Ibn Mas'ud watched them carefully and start to get so angry himself about that. Then he said to them, O nation of Muhammad, people of Muhammad, Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, you are destroying yourselves. Can't you see? Even the Prophet ﷺ clothes is not weared yet. His cookware is not break and destroyed yet. And you start innovate in your deen. And they said to him, O Abu Abdul Rahman, we meant well. And we try to make dhikr. What's wrong with dhikr? He said, how many people, they try to target the right thing, but they target the wrong thing. Count your bad deeds, and I guarantee Allah will never miss one good deed for you. You don't need to count 100 tasbih, 100 dhikr. That is counted. There's angels will count it for you and record it for you. But worry about your bad deeds. Count your bad deeds. The author and narrator of this story said, and I saw most of them in the battle of Nahawand. What that battle? The battle of Al-Khawarij, who killed Ali in the end of it. You see, a little thing go and grow in their hearts until they become so extreme. Even seeing Ali is not a good man. Who can complain about Ali? Every Muslim knows who's Ali. He became from the first people to become a Muslim. He grew with the Prophet ﷺ. He married the best daughter of the Prophet ﷺ. He was the best knight of Islam. He fought, he did. Anyone can deny that? Yes, these people denied that. And they saw him nothing but a shaitan. Has to be eliminated so Islam will be safe. And they did that, and they killed him. How the story started? In a simple little innovation. A lot of people nowadays say, Sheikh, come on, don't be so hard on the people. But that lead us to the worst of the worst innovation. To kill the Muslim and leave the kafir. And look what happened in Syria today. The same innovation. Lead for someone to go and blow himself up in a meeting between the leaders of al-Jihad. He make it more important to kill these leaders than to go and kill Bashar and his group. The same story. You see, the story repeated itself many, many times. But we still not awake for it. We still not realizing why that could happen. It happened because we are ignorant. We don't want to learn our deen from our mashayikh. We think what the mashayikh? The mashayikh is old style. I can't read myself. Why I need the sheikh? You read yourself, this is where it goes. You become your own sheikh, or Google is your sheikh. Then you start to understand the matters in a very unusual way. Even the sheikhs being called extreme, they said to them, oh wow, to you, what you doing? What are you doing? Which shaitan give you this fatwa? To go and fight your own people. Kill the best of them. For what sake? Who is going to benefit out of that? And that everyone realize, Muslim and non-Muslim, that will never bring anything to you. Blowing a car here and blowing a hotel or blowing, that will never bring Islamic State and will never destroy an enemy of you. It hurt them here a little bit, there a little bit, but in reality it hurts you. It kills you first. The Prophet ﷺ said to us, بُعِثْتُ بِالْحَنَفِيَّةِ السَّمْحَاءِ, I've been sent by pure tawheed and easiness on the people. Easiness, goodness, even with his enemy, he never been hard on anyone. Even when his enemy, the main enemy was Quraysh in that time, they got hungry, he ate him. Subhanallah, he sent the wheat for them. And he could starve them until they come and knee in front of him and beg him for forgiveness. But he never do that. Because he wants Islam to enter their heart with a complete submission and love. Not by the sword in your head. You can obey me by my authority, but I will never make you love me by my authority. And Islam without love is not Islam. We have to understand that. We have to learn. If you don't learn from the Sheikh, you will never learn the right way. Not because I am a Sheikh, I'm saying that, no. Today I am with you, but tomorrow I am not with you. I'm saying that because it's my duty and your rights on me to say that to you. I don't want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you come crying in that day and saying, oh Allah, that Shaykh never taught us the truth. I would say you are a liar because I taught you the truth and put all the effort I can to teach you the truth and to lead you to the truth. But you insist to go the other way, and that's your business. The prophets before me did the same thing. And some of their people denied them, and some of the prophets, the majority of their people denied them, and some of the prophets, no one followed them at all. But I hope you are the good people. Yani I'm wallahi crying, not for anything but to seeing after we put so much effort, so much work, so much hope that Syria will bring something to us, then I see that even now, wallahi, sometimes my dear brother Jamal came from birth yesterday or the day before, and he was one of my, what I call it, assistants in birth for years, 25 years ago. And he's Syrian, and he told me something about Syria. I said to him, I don't want to hear anymore. He said, Sheikh, we are in big trouble. I said, wallahi, I know. I saw that before. I saw that before many times. But we can't learn from our mistakes. That is the major issue for me. And okay, first time we could make a mistake. Second time we make the same mistake, we say, okay, we still half blind. But third time and fourth time and fifth time and still making the same mistake. That means we are more than blind, more than stupid. We don't want to wake up, we don't want to learn. And I don't want that to happen to you. And I don't want you to think bad about Allah the Almighty. Why Allah let them take victory over us? Because you doesn't deserve the victory. Allah is the most just. And wallahi, if He deals with us in His justice, He should destroy us all. But when it comes for a big decision for the ummah, He will never give you a victory if you don't deserve it. Because if you are lunatic like that and you have the power, what are you going to do to the people? They bring people and shoot them before they take the state. Imagine what they do after they have the state. Maybe they hang half of Syria in one day. These people doesn't deserve victory. Find people, either they go completely in a lenient way with the West and they become themselves more than the Western, or harsh to the very extreme again. Why we have that extreme in us? Either here in our Markaz, in our society, in our Melbourne society, you see people, either they want to talk about jihad and kill and this and that, or you see people, they go under the table of the kafir and kiss their shoes, not their feet. Why is that? We go and even the names, we choose names suits the kafir the most. Why? Why we do that? Make a t-shirt, I love Jesus. Yeah, akhi, we all love Jesus. But why you say Jesus in particular? There is a message, and very wrong message. Two mosques named one Jesus and one Mary, mother of Jesus. Ya subhanallah. One Mercy Mission, completely Christian name. One called himself even not an Islamic center. That's better for the environment. No, it's not better. That is the extreme which the Prophet ﷺ forbid on us. Yes, we love Jesus, and Jesus our great prophet, and his mother is a Siddiqa, as Allah said, and she is the greatest woman of Islam. But this is one of the facts. Where's the rest of the facts? Okay, call one mosque Maryam of mother of Jesus, and call the other mosque Khadija, the mother of the believers, the second woman in the world, the best woman. Subhanallah. Why we go that extreme? Just to make other side of the story, a lovely story in our side. But that, wallahi, that is, I don't want to call it disgusting, but it is. And not in any way that will please them anyhow. When the brothers write that, what they call it, bully board, and they say, Jesus is the Prophet of Islam in Sydney. You remember the story? All the churches and this, they make a story that humiliating us and humiliating Jesus. What Islam to do with Jesus? Yani, you are thinking that you make them happy with you. The opposite happened. They are not happy with you. Allah the Almighty said to you, go in the straight path. قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين. This is the way I call for Allah, on a clear vision. Not only me, but all my people. Not the Prophet alone has to clear vision and we are dumb. No. Every one of us has to have that clear vision. Every one of us has to know his path. Otherwise, we are become a puppet. love Jesus and you are saved. This is what the Christians say. من آمن بي وإن مات فسيحيا. Who believes in me, he is in safe. I am the salvation. Isn't it true? This is what they say. We become doing the same thing. Even we don't say that about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not about Jesus. Do we say that? Can any Muslim claim that? Except the so-called Muslims, but they are not in my eyes. The Rafidah have the same career. Believe in Ali and you are saved. They take the word Jesus and they put Ali instead of it. And they say in the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put Ali on his right and he said to him, judge between the people. So anyone love Ali goes to the Jannah, otherwise Ali will throw you to the hellfire. Doesn't matter you are good or not good. And this is why you see them behaving in that way. Same as the Christian. Do all the mistakes in the world you imagine, then they think they are all guaranteed to the Jannah. Why? Because maybe they wear the cross or that, wear Ali or his sword, and they make it two things and they claim that the sword of the Prophet ﷺ give it to Ali. لا فتى إلا علي ولا سيف إلا ذو الفقار. We don't believe in this nonsense. Names will never change the facts. Love is one of the pillars of Islam, but it is not the only pillar. Before love, you have to submit. You have to obey. You have to believe. You have to practice. You have to call for that. You have to say, I am a Muslim. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Allah saying to you, who's better than the one call for Allah, make good deeds and say, I am from the Muslim. Not say I am from the Muslim only, no. You have to make the deeds. You have to prove in your action that you believe in the message of Islam. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.